Okay, today we'll be looking at our first practice task, which is to create a Pac Man style animation. Today you need to download the following resources from the YouTube video. You can see we have a background here, plus our ghosts and some of our cherry and strawberry images. The first thing we need to do is we need to actually open up our stage with the resolution for the background. So to check this is you right click on the background, check the properties out, go to details, and you'll notice that we need to put in the dimensions of 464 times 512. So we go to our animate, we go to create, then we're going to put our custom resolution of 464 pixels by the height of 512 pixels. We'll leave the standard frame rate and we'll press create. Okay, so we have our stage here. The first thing we want to do is we want to double click and rename layer 1 to be background or level, depending on how you want to name it. Next up, we need to import that background to the stage. So to do so, we go File, Import, Import to Stage. Then we're going to select the background PNG. And you can see now we have our background. Now this animation is going to be quite long today, so we want to select the bottom horizontal toolbar and scroll across to probably at least 15 seconds. I'm going to go out to 20 just in case. We'll make it 19. What we do is we right click on the timeline, insert a frame, then we scroll all the way back to the beginning. So that's our first step. Our next step is we're going to create the dots or the pills on the screen. So to do so, we select the plus, then we double click on the layer, we type in, I'm going to call them dots, and then here what we need to do is we need to zoom in. So you can zoom in the top right hand corner by entering inside there, and I'm going to select 300%. And then what we're going to do is we're going to draw our first dot. So the way you do that is you select your oval tool. Then down the bottom left-hand corner, we want to change our fill color to be white. And we want to make sure that our stroke color is non-visible. So we draw our pill on there. Just make sure we leave a space for Pac Man. So make about half the size of the maze width, just so Pac Man can eat it, eat the pill. So then what we're going to do is we're going to select the arrow tool or selection tool, select that, and then we're going to right click on that and convert it to a symbol. So remember, if we want to animate anything, we're going to convert it to a symbol. So I'm going to call mine dot. Okay. And what we need to do on making sure we select the first layer or the first frame on our dot layer is we need to fill up as many dots as we want to on the screen. So I'm going to zoom back out to, say, 150%. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on that, copy, and then paste it in. Okay, or Control V in this case. And then what we're going to do is, it doesn't have to be too neat, is preferably put as many dots as you want in here. If you want your whole maze to be covered in dots, I would suggest you do it now rather than later, because you need to make sure that your first frame of your, say, the first frame of the dots layer has all the dots on it. So once you get to a point like this, what you can do is you can group dots together by selecting the Shift button. So you can left click, hold Shift, and then what you can do is you can copy multiples at the same time, and this should help you save time in the long run. I'm just going to put a few dots in now. Okay, so you should have all your dots on the screen now. Now it doesn't have to be perfect because it's only your first animation using the Pac Man style. Now it doesn't have to be perfect, so the dots can be wherever you'd like them. So next step is that we're going to then insert the Pac Man himself. So to do this, we need to press the plus to insert a new layer. Double click on layer 3, call this Pac Man. And what we're going to do is make sure we have the first frame selected on the Pac Man layer. Is we're going to select the oval tool again. And this time we're going to change the white fill to being yellow. And we're going to make sure the stroke is also has no color selected. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just draw our Pac Man onto that bottom left-hand side there. Now, if you want to, you can also go into 400% so you can have a bit more control over Pac Man. So what we're going to do today is we're going to actually shape tween Pac Man so it looks like he's chomping. The easiest way to do this is to start with his mouth being open. So when we guide him through the maze, you can see which direction his mouth is in. So to be able to put an open mouth on Pac Man, we need to select the line tool, then select any other color in the fill. Actually, no, not the fill. We want to get rid of the fill. Turn fill off, and then go to stroke. Select any other color but the yellow. I'm going to select black. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to draw on Pac Man a mouth. And then all we do is we get the selection tool, select the sections we want to delete. So making sure you select the black lines to the mouth too. And then we have a Pac Man with an open mouth. Now what we need to do first up is we need to convert this to a symbol. To do so, we just right click on the Pac Man and then select convert to symbol. And I'm going to call this Pac Man. Don't use spaces because it won't let you use spaces. And then press OK. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to zoom out slightly here, say to 200%. Okay, and that way we can see a bit more of the maze. Now, the first thing we want to do is we want to apply a shape tween to the Pac Man so it looks like he's chomping. To do this, you double click on Pac Man. And then what you'll notice is the background maze will go like a transparent color and you'll be within a shape tween. So inside Animate, you can apply a shape tween to an image and this will be repeated over and over again. So we want Pac Man's mouth to open roughly every 5 frames. So we go to the 5th frame, right click, insert a keyframe. Go to the 10th frame, right click, insert a keyframe. And then finally, go to the 15th frame, right click and insert a keyframe. Oops, make sure we insert the right one. Right click, insert a keyframe. All right, so we have his mouth closed here. At the 5th frame, we're going to draw so he has a full mouth. So I'm going to go into 400% again so I can see Pac Man. Now, there's no easy way around this. The easiest way I'm going to do it is using the oval tool. Make sure the fill is yellow. Have no stroke color. And I'm just going to draw a yellow circle over the top of Pac Man to the best to fill in that gap. So now if I go to my 1st frame, mouth open, 5th frame, mouth closed, and then 10th frame, mouth open again. So if we rewind this and play it, it looks like he's chomping. You don't need to worry. This shape tween automatically will repeat over and over again. So to get out of this shape tween, we select the back button, which is in the top left-hand side here, beside scene 1. And then you'll go back into our animation. Next step is we want to get Pac Man to navigate the maze a little bit. So we'll change this back in the zoom back to 200%. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get Pac Man to do a couple of turns. Yeah, just notice the dot out over there so we can fix it up. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to get Pac Man to navigate the maze from left to right. So to do so, we're going to use classic tweens. We need to make sure we select Pac Man. Then what we're going to do is we're going to work out how long does it take for Pac Man to go left to right. We're going to say 2 seconds, 60 frames. So we go along to the 60th frame on the Pac Man layer, right click, insert a keyframe, and then what we're going to do is we're going to drag, making sure we're on the 60th frame, Pac Man to the right hand side of the maze, and then any frame between the 1st and the 60th, we right click and we create a classic tween. So if we rewind this and we press play, we have Pac Man doing moving left to right. So don't worry about the animation now. Inside Animate, it won't show a shape tween unless you publish a document. So we'll publish a document soon, and I'll show you what this looks like. So you can see here that Pac Man has got to the right-hand side of the maze. We need to now move to the top part of the maze, but we also need to rotate Pac Man. Now you can't do both at the same time. So what we need to do is in the 61st frame is right-click, insert a keyframe, and then we're going to rotate Pac Man so he's in the right direction. To do so, we're going to do something called transform. So you right-click on Pac Man, select the transform option, and then free transform. And then you'll see, if you go to the right-hand side, there'll be like a sort of, backwards circle arrow tool. We're then going to rotate it, hold it, to the position that we would like Pac Man to be facing. Then, as I said before, we can't animate and turn at the same time. So we need to insert another keyframe. At this point here, we are going to move Pac Man to the next section, which is 2 dots up. Now, it took us 60 frames to go left to right. This is where it becomes down to a bit of an art. We're going to say it takes 15 frames to get to this dot here. You can play around this to see how smooth it looks. So we go to 75th frame, right click, insert keyframe. Then what we do is drag our Pac Man up to that section there. And as we did before, we're going to insert a classic tween. So right click anywhere here and then select the create classic tween option. And then if we rewind and play this, you can see my Pac Man goes left to right, stops, moves up. So we'll animate this 1 or 2 more times just to show you a couple more times. So remember, if we want to turn the Pac Man, we can't do it at the same time. So we have to go to the next frame across, right click, insert a keyframe. Then we can transform our Pac Man in the right direction. So to transform, we right click on him. Then we select the transform option, free transform as you can see there. And then what we do is we transform him facing the right direction. We then insert another keyframe afterwards. And then from this point, we can animate him left. So we'll do one more. We'll move Pac Man over to here. So let's just say it takes another 15 frames. Well, let's say, another 15 frames. So right click, insert keyframe. Then we can move Pac Man over to here. And then we can then right click and then do a create classic tween. So now what I would like you to do is to move Pac Man about 4 or 5 more times in any direction through the maze. Okay, so our next step is to show you how to keyframe the dots. Okay, so as Pac Man eats the dots, they should disappear. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to do something called keyframing. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab the playhead, and as Pac Man goes over a dot, we need to go into our dots layer and then right click, insert a keyframe. Now, making sure that you select the selection tool, you don't want to select all the dots. So you might have to left click on the screen. Okay, and then what you do is you left click on that dot, you delete it. And then what you do is you then move the playhead again to the next location, and then you insert another key frame. And then what you do is you make sure you only select one dot. And then what you do is you repeat that for your whole length of your animation. Okay, so you should have removed all the dots to the animation so far. Okay, so if we look at what we've done so far, I'll rewind all the way back to the beginning. And then we'll press play. You should have something like this, a Pac Man that looks like he's gobbling up the dots. Remember, the shape tween will come out when we publish it. And yeah, that's what it should be up to. So our next step is we're going to put in one of the ghosts. So the ghosts start from the beginning and the middle of the maze. So what we do is we select the plus, and then on our document here, you can see we have different ghosts. So we're going to start off with Blinky, which is the red ghost. So what we do is we select a new layer, we call it Blinky, making sure we select the first frame in Blinky, and then all we do is we select file, import the stage, select Blinky. Now you can see Blinky is absolutely massive, so we can right click on Blinky and we can transform him, selecting free transform. And all we do is we grab the handles, we just shrink Blinky down to whatever you think, and you can select Shift 2 to do a uniform shrink, and then we'll put him in the middle of the maze. Okay, and then what we need to do with Blinky is we need to convert him to a symbol. So to do so is we right click on Blinky, convert to symbol, give him a name, we'll call him Blinky. And then what we can do is then we can animate Blinky around the maze a bit. So let's get Blinky to move up and down and around a bit. So first he needs to move to the middle of his little pen. So we might say that takes, 5 frames. So right click, insert a keyframe, then we just drag Blinky there. Then we say we want to get release Blinky. So let's say it takes 10 frames. So that's the 15. Right click, insert keyframe. Then we drag Blinky out. And then finally, we're going to then drag him out to here to the left. So let's say that takes 15 frames. So that's 30. Right click, insert keyframe. And then we drag them out here. Then what we need to do is we need to apply a classic tween to each of these. So we go back to each section, right click on it, create a classic tween. This section here, right click, create classic tween. And in this section here, right click, create classic tween. So now, if we look at animation, and we'll zoom out to 100%, you can see we have a basic Pac Man style animation. The last step we want to do is we want to go File, Publish Settings, then make sure that the HTML wrapper is enabled. So I'm going to select Pac Man as my name, and you can say the location of where you'd like it saved to. Press Save, and press OK. And then what you hit is the File and the Publish option. We go to location of where it's saved to. And then you're looking for a HTML document, so mine's Pac Man. Double click on that. You may need to download or prompt Adobe Flash Player to work, so I'm just going to do that. Allow. You can see here I've got my chomping animation, my dots have been removed, and my first ghost Blinky has been released from the maze. So what I want you to do now is I want you to finish off this animation by including the other ghosts, Clyde, Inky, and Pinky, and have them released from the maze. And again, and maybe if you want to be more, do some more extension work, is you can get Pac Man to eat the power pills so that the ghosts turn to flashing icons. Thank you for watching this video.